Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Create and Impact, episode 3. I have an amazing couple on today, Nancy Kiesling and Scott Kiesling. They're both life coaches and adventure coaches. Scott Kiesling has worked in the film industry for about 30 years. He's been involved in major films such as from Lincoln to Hunger Games and special effects. His wife, Nancy, has started her own business, and they both have met along their journey in coaching and running retreats and adventures together and trying to create an impact in the world and the lives around you. And I'm so excited to have you guys on today and talk about your story and, traveling the world in your sailboat and, trying to create an impact in the world and the lives around you. So tell me a little bit about where your journey started and, start there.
Okay. Well, separately, our journey started. I was originally from New York and got into the film industry, luckily enough, and really saved my life. Prior to me getting in the industry, I had friends dying from drug overdoses and friends going to jail. And luckily I had a mentor that grabbed me and pulled me up and really showed me how to live life.
Right.
And I've been lucky enough to have mentor after mentor, and I seek out life coaches to be able to, work on myself to get to the point where I'm at in my journey.
Okay.
Is the short version of it.
Yeah, and separately, before I met Scott, I came from a very unique household, a lot of women in my life. So I've
Right.
always kind of gone down this road of counseling women, being there for advice for women.
Mhm.
Both my businesses prior to the one I started with Scott dealt with mainly a women market. I had a handbag business and a wedding planning company. And now what we do together, we help everyone. But I focus a lot on women as well, still in this business as coaching. So together, we kind of blended our talents, and now we, like you said, host adventure and yoga retreats that we assist people in conquering what they believe to be impossible in order to have their best life. We believe that everyone deserves to have their best life, and it's possible. So we like to show people how to navigate to the way to have that. And so together, that's what we do.
Yeah, and it really came about for me probably about 15 years ago or so.
Right.
I made a conscious decision to try to be with my son more.
Right.
The movie industry really takes you away from life.
Right.
It's all or none with the industry, with the hours we work and the places we have to travel to or we get to travel to. And so I decided that I wanted to find some way to be with my son in a way that I didn't have with my dad.
Right.
And really take that generational cycle of abuse and of neglect and of, all of these things and really change it.
Right.
And so what I did was I took a hobby that I had since I was 9 or 10 years old.
Right.
And that was rock climbing.
Rock climbing, yeah.
And being out in the woods, right? That was kind of my go-to place, if you will.
Right.
In my times of sadness, in my abuse, in my addiction even.
Right.
It was always a place I could escape to and quiet my mind and be one with nature and kind of learn from being out in the woods and what that teaches you. And so I went on this journey from idea to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
With, I'm going to open this big rock climbing gym in a beach town.
Right.
Right. I lived in a beach town, and I took that idea and from not, I graduated high school late. I had dropped out when my parents split up and went back and got my diploma. But that's really as far as in education as I had gone.
Right.
And so did I have a business background? No. Did I know anything about running or opening a business? No. But what I did know is that I had a value of searching and wanting to learn.
Right.
And what that did was that opened up door after door after door for me to be able to learn to write a business plan.
Right.
and take that idea that I had, that everybody I spoke to in my world went, you can't do that.
Right.
You can't do that. You've never done that. How you gonna, and all the naysayers, right? It's bad enough that we have our own limiting beliefs,
Right.
and then people put them on us. So I conquered that. I continued, and I opened this beautiful gym and took people on outdoor adventure guided trips.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, found that my perspective on life, the things that we talked about out there, and the way that adventure took you out of your comfort zone and brought up some of these things of fear and inadequacy and,
self-limiting beliefs.
your
about
self-limiting
yourself.
beliefs.
Yeah.
I developed a program to help people. And then when Nancy and I met, her being so intrigued with psychology and human behavior, we decided to, again, team up, like you said,
Yeah.
and take
it to
people on
another
these
level.
amazing retreats.
Yeah. So now we incorporate every type of adventure that the places we go to offer,
Mm-hmm.
and we really cater them to each individual
Right.
that we're going on.
What are some places that you guys visited on your journeys and retreats that you've taken individuals and families and couples?
Well, I've done almost the whole continental U.S.
Wow.
with people, and we take people to Costa Rica, Bali, Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, Machu Picchu in South America.
Yeah.
And again, like Nancy was saying, all of our retreats, all of our adventure therapy
Mm-hmm.
is really catered to specific groups of people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if we have one for women,
Mm-hmm.
We have one that's specifically for single women, and,
Right.
and we work on their challenges. We have some that we take groups of men that were in the military that are transitioning in their life, and we take them on a very different adventure therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, corporate businesses. Yeah, the whole realm in that sense.
How has this really shaped your relationship with each other more, like as you guys gotten older and built a business together? Because like I think relationships are like building a business, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, they are. And it is very much like a business. And you have to, I believe, be able to separate that in your daily routine, because it goes in and out of
Mm-hmm.
business talk versus, personal talk. But relationships in general, I believe, are the same thing. Like you're saying, very similar to business in how you trust one another, the
Right.
open honesty that needs to be there, the vulnerability to share ideas that you don't know if the other person will be like, you're crazy, or
Yeah.
oh my God, we can't do that, and then to talk to each other up that we can, and
Yeah.
not fall to the side of, oh my God, that's right, this is scary. But I think it just every day makes us stronger and stronger in our relationship, because with business, you're faced every day with new challenges.
Right.
And life every day faces you with new
Right.
challenges. But when you add in the business aspect of working together, you really have to define each other's strengths and weaknesses and make sure that you're nourishing those within one another, and noticing when something is going to trigger the weakness of the other person and be able to step in and help them with that. And I think we do that really nicely with each other, because we're so open about things that come up for us and challenge something that we feel is challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And the open and honesty, I think, is really what makes us work so well together in that and succeed.
Right. What do you think your biggest strengths are as a couple that you could probably give to people out there starting their businesses with other couples, starting entrepreneurs?
Biggest strength.
I would say our biggest strength really is the interpersonal connection that we have.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
It's not doing business through text or email, or right. We really pride ourselves on getting in front of not only each other, but other businesses that we like to partner with.
Right.
None of our retreats are ever done without us personally going and
Yeah.
having a face-to-face with the retreat center that we're taking our guests to the adventure things that we're doing,
The tour guides.
so
Yeah.
that I can go over the safety protocols that I expect for my clients.
Mhm.
And I think the communication that we have, or that a couple needs to have,
Yeah.
is probably the most important thing that you can have if you're going to have a business together in a relationship like this.
Mhm.
Like Nancy said, you have to really be able to open up and be vulnerable and say, like, hey, I had this idea, you know, and the other person supports you, even if it's something that they're against,
Right.
but they support you in such a way that they, hey,
Yeah.
maybe we could do this instead of that. Maybe instead of, you know, there's
With a willingness.
a willingness. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you know, every day we sit and talk about our goal for the next day, you know, because what you're going, you know, what are you going to do today to make tomorrow a little bit different in business and in anything that you're going after. So
Right.
us, we love to work. You know, we love to spend
Yeah.
time on our business because our business is fun and we make sure of that for ourselves. But that's a passion of ours.
Right.
That started way long before we met. But to sit down every day and discuss, well, okay, so today was this, and recap on that, and what is tomorrow,
Right.
and then to make sure you have little breaks and have fun in between, because even though we love to work, you got to go play. Everyone
Yeah.
has to play, and you got to keep the fun and spontaneity within each other, and not just get so wrapped up in your life is just work.
Yeah.
Right. Are there any like daily rituals that as a couple you both do on a daily basis to help keep the stress from being entrepreneurs and, you know, also being in your relationship at the same time with your family?
Yeah, I think we do. We both do. Meditation is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Meditation and yoga, as well as gratitude lists,
Right.
and really waking up and going through the things that you're grateful for, and how amazing that opens up your day.
Right.
To take that little time, whether it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 45 minutes, for yourself, right? For her, to take that time for herself,
Okay.
right? For me to be able to take that time by myself, for myself, so that when we come together, each of us is located in the space of love and openness,
Right.
to be able to come together, right? Because I can't expect her to love me if I don't love myself.
Right.
And that ritual really allows for that self-love moment, right? That self-time to be able to bring more to the table.
Yeah, agreed. And the gratitude list really helps you too to realize that you're getting close to your goal, because sometimes we set these goals for our business and ourselves, and
Right.
I know he helps me a lot with it, because I think of, okay, I want this and I want it tomorrow. I want it to happen now. And tomorrow comes and I'm like, oh, it's not happening. So
Yeah.
gratitude list really helps us to notice the little doors that have been opening up, showing you it is coming. Just be
Right.
patient, so he really helps me to keep my eye out on that the universe is giving you what you want.
Right.
Just take some time. You got to let it grow.
Well, yeah, and it's not, and we talk about this to people all the time. It's, imagine how long it took for you to get to this place where you are.
Right.
So when clients and people come and they go, I need a change. I need this change, right? It's not something that happens in a day or a week.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to look at each of the little things that comes towards you that is building that goal, right? There's no timetable on the universe.
Right.
And, and there's also no specific way that the gifts come, right?
Yeah,
and what I mean by that is that, we ask for things. Oh, I wish I had this relationship, or I wish I had this business, and then the whispers come that are leading you to that. And sometimes we don't hear those whispers, or they don't look like the packaging that we wanted, or the packaging that we expected those those whispers or those clues to come in.
Yeah, so you can kind of poo-poo them to the side and be like, oh, that's not what I wanted, when it actually is exactly what you wanted. So the gratitude list really helps to define that, because it just shows you each day the gifts you're getting to get to what you want to get to.
Right. I totally relate, because I have a gratitude journal. I write in 3 times a day what I'm grateful for. And
Yeah.
I'm a huge reader. Like, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and it really educates and it's very inspiring. That's why, I'm doing this podcast, to get people's stories and messages out there, because everybody has a story to tell, and it's very important to add value to people's lives. And I think what you guys are doing is very inspiring. What inspired me was you guys live on a sailboat now. So can you tell me a little bit about that and how that led to where your journeys are going?
We have a boat going in the background. If you hear a little buzz, that's what that is.
Yeah, so I've been in the film industry for, like I said, 30 years, and I've traveled around extensively with the industry and with my other ventures that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really Cuba, right? It was really, so my great grandfather wrote the Cuban national anthem.
Wow.
And his daughter made the flag, and they rode into battle against Spain in 1862, and it's this whole story. And when the embassy was reopened 4 years ago,
mm-hmm.
It made it much easier to get into Cuba if you had your own vessel. So there's all paperwork from the State Department, all these things, rules you have to follow, right? But you can go to Cuba.
Right.
They made it easier. So I said to Nancy, wouldn't it be cool, like, to get a sailboat and live on it for a little bit and go and, right?
So we started watching all these channels.
So we started watching all these YouTube sailing channels.
It's so
and it was like, oh,
wow.
We want to do this, right? And
right.
We're not the type of people, on my calendar, there's no day that says someday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. My calendar has dates,
mm-hmm.
and it has specific days. And someday, one day is not there.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we don't say, oh, one day we're going to do that.
Or when we retire.
We say, we're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I began looking for sailboats. And
well, and I had grown up, my father was a big sailor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd grown up with experience on sailboats, never lived on one. We had the most, maybe it was 10 days, 2 weeks that we spent. So very different experience living on it, but love it all the same.
Right.
But when he brought it up, I was like, sure, let's see how that goes. And we kind of just, same thing. If you truly want to do something, a lot of people we meet go, oh, I'd love to live on a sailboat, but really they may not want to, but there's
mm-hmm.
people who do meet that really would like to, but really believe they have to wait until they retire or wait for something.
Right. There's some fear in the way.
Yeah, there's something. And we just decided to not have that. We wanted to do it now. We're not promised tomorrow. Let's do it.
And not that it didn't come with fear.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And a lot of
right.
naysayers.
And a lot of naysayers again.
Yeah.
Right? But here's, again, like Nancy said, if you have a dream, if you have something that calls to you, that brings you joy from the thought of it,
right,
get out there and do it.
Because it's possible.
There are ways. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we looked for a boat. We talked to the universe, as we do, and
it took maybe
didn't take long, and we got an unbelievable, for our first sailboat. It is
like a deal that's unheard of, which, again, I think it's our connection with manifestation and law of attraction.
Is it kind of like a catamaran sailboat?
No, she's a monohull.
Yeah.
Monohull, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
She's 38 feet, full kitchen, bathroom, living area, bedroom, and we love it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
We're on the water. We see dolphins every day.
Yeah.
It's quite remarkable. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm here in Pensacola. I see it all the time. I moved from Ohio a year ago to the Pensacola. My family lives here in Florida, so I'm like, I'm wanting to change the scenery myself. So, talking a little bit about the sailboat. How is the fear and advice you could give to people out there that want to travel but they think money holds them back, or the limiting beliefs and doubt?
Yeah. The money, like everything else, is an energy, and it flows just like everything else, just like the current in the ocean or in a river, and it comes in and it goes out, right? And when you can build a relationship with anything in the sense of energy,
Mm-hmm.
and reform your belief or your limiting belief about these things, it's amazing what opens up for you, right? And an acronym we like to use, especially for fear, is false evidence appearing real,
Mm-hmm.
right? Most fear is not real. And that's not to say that we don't encounter danger in our lives. But if you can take the feeling of fear,
Right.
and instead of looking for a way to discard it, or looking for a way to cover it up, or looking for a way to, like, oh, I'm not going to go that way because I'm starting to feel this, and that's fear, right? If we can look at it in such a way that allows us to feel it, right? Feel it.
Yeah, feel like really
It's
absorb
fun.
it. Yeah.
Like, we like to be happy, right? We like to feel happiness and joy. Well, you can feel fear in the same way.
Right.
And you can take steps through that. And really watch your limiting beliefs fall apart in front of you.
Right.
Yeah, you can really dissect what I was learned. And again, he taught me this because I had a big money holdback prior to meeting him, where I was nervous to travel, or I felt like I had to save up this giant amount of money to do a trip I wanted to do. And he really helped me to dissect the fear of fear in general, of looking at it from a place of, is this really going to happen, or is it a story you're making up in your head? Which 99% of the time it was a story I was making up in my head.
Right.
That, if I say I need the time off work, I'll get fired, or I won't have my job when I come back, or my bank account will be empty, different things. And it's just not the case when you do the trip. It's like trying to plan to have a baby, that people plan and try to save all this money, and you can't plan enough. You always try to plan that little bit more. You always think you need to do more for the trip. I just need, what if I want a massage? And that's another $100 I got to save.
Yeah.
So to just go and do, because again, the longer you wait, the longer you just put that life on hold. So to just kind of just go and do, and the money really is there in the account when you come home, and your jobs are there. Your bosses don't flinch at the fact that you just stood up and said, hey, I need a break, I need my trip, or take those signed days and do it. But not staying locked in that fear of the I can't, when you haven't even asked yet.
Well, and the big thing about coming from a place of I can't, or like the lack of, right? Oh, I don't have enough. I can't do I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't. All that does is bring you more of that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If that's where you focus, if you focus on I don't have enough, you'll never have enough. Right? If you focus on, wow, look at all the blessings, like we were talking about the gratitude list, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Look at all the blessings around me. Every day I get to wake up and have these blessings. There's more.
Yeah.
And then there's more, and there's more, and there's more, and there's more.
And then to a more of a logical side of, if a lot of people have an analytical mind of, well, okay, but I need to see numbers. I need to,
see details.
That's grand that I can wish it and manifest it, but I need to see numbers.
Right.
So we tell a lot of our clients, when it's truly something you want to do, there's always stuff you can cut back in your life. You can cut back on how much, how many subscriptions do you have for Netflix and these different things? How often do you go to Starbucks? I do this tally every so many months.
Yeah.
and we do it for our clients too.
Sure adds up.
And I do. You put it out there in actual numbers, and it's thousands of dollars that we each individual spends on entertainment, concerts, food, eating out, drinking, bars,
Right.
whatever. And that's all fine and dandy if that's what you want to do. But if you truly want something else, then evaluate your life, look at what you're doing and what your daily expenses are, and look where you can cut. And there is most certainly at least 1 to 5 things that you could cut down on and achieve what you're actually truly want, that you're saying you want.
And for those people that say, oh, no way, right?
Show me your list and I'll show you what you
Right.
And that's the thing. We've had, but you're right. But we've seen clients that are like, we look at what they're doing, right? And they're like, I've got to do this, this retreat. We do this healing retreat in Bali, and I'm going to talk about a specific client, and I've got to do this for me and my husband, and this is so important, and it's going to save us, and the tears, and it's the only thing I can do, and right, and can't do it, can't stick. We'll do a payment, like we'll do whatever payment plans, anything to help people to get through that, and to be able to do this trip that they're so vested in, that they need the value of for their relationship. And you start to break it down for them, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you spend $1,000 on shoes a month,
things you don't need,
but you can't give up a month,
or like a golf club,
or the golf clubs, right? But it's amazing when they are, for us, our clients talk, and we get these things out of them, and then you give it back in this way, and they're like, oh, I can. And then they come on these trips and their lives are changed.
Right. They have breakthroughs.
And it's fun because at the end of the trip, I'm kind of a wise guy. My wife sometimes calls me Jack.
Jack. I don't think I want to say it on your show, but ASS.
But I'll give it back to them at the end of the trip. So, was this worth your 2 pairs of shoes?
Yeah.
Right. So the memory and the experience that they have, because I think what's most important in life is the experiences, the memories we share, and connecting with people. We're not just born here to be a dog to somebody and work 9 to 5 and the rat race of society. And, a little bit about me, I want to talk about, I've had an alcohol issue throughout my life. I'm dealing with alcoholism through my family and money, like you were talking about, that money mindset, and letting that take over and consume my life, and let that be the story. Because for years, when I went to school at Ohio State, I had a hard time just letting go of alcohol, and I was broke all the time because that was the environment I was putting myself in and the story that I was telling myself. So, talking about, you're saying putting yourself in an environment where you're around people who actually believe in your vision and your mission. We're trying to help you see past and get to your true potential. So that's been a big thing in my life. Sobriety's brought a lot of clarity and a lot of, abundance in my life, because I let go of something that was a bad habit in my life, because I saw there was more than buying Starbucks, buying shoes that I don't need every month, just being grateful for the things that I do have. So.
Yeah. And I can relate on the addiction side of that. I was really young when not really young. I was 16 when my parents split up.
Right.
And when my mom had kicked my dad out, and then she moved out.
Right.
So I was left. I have a brother and a sister who were both in college. My brother was there for a year, and then he went to college.
Okay.
So we were there alone by ourselves at 16 and 17 years old, right, with a house. And so you can imagine the parties that went on at that age, right? Party, no parents, the whole bit. All my friends, drugs, alcohol, the whole bit. Well, straight out of that, as I'm having friends die, I get pulled into the movie industry, right? Which, again, saved my life, and it really did.
Right.
But for many years, that habit continued because it was super accessible in the movie industry.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame you.
I mean, it was built on, we work hard, right? And it's changed a lot. But even back then, 30 years ago, we worked our butts off, but we also played really hard, right? And that cycle becomes a habit. And all of a
Right.
sudden it's like, where does all my money go? I've lost this period of time
Right.
to that. And so, yeah, crawling out of that and figuring out really the root cause of where that habit came from and why it was so prevalent, and working through all those things really helped me to, again, become the person I am today and help people to have
You're right.
the same life, and to really see it, that you can break that habit, and that's what it is. It's a habit.
It is, yeah. It's a
You're
daily
in a place for so
discipline.
long, yeah, and we build it in so many different ways in our lives that you can reframe that, and you can build different habits, more habits that are more fulfilling, or more
healthier habits.
Habits, yeah.
And I think
Right.
too, it's a learned coping mechanism
Right.
that people can have in a healthy, somewhat manner, if you want to look at it that way, or destructive. But both are. You're using it to cope, to be comfortable in a crowd, or to ask a girl out or a guy
Oh,
out.
yeah.
But then it can be as destructive as, I want to forget about my life and what happened to me. And so
Right.
it's all coping. You're using it to cope with what's going on in your head, rather than addressing what's going on in your head in a healthy manner, to truly feel it, like you said, and feel those feelings, and learning new ways to cope that don't involve drugs and alcohol. And I think that's the biggest thing that helps people come out of addiction and realize they're not just an addict forever.
Yeah.
That you just learn to cope. You learn coping skills. You learn how to deal with life's hardships.
Right.
And the stress situations in life.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
my alcoholism really came from abuse that I had suffered, compiled with an empty house,
Right.
which was another thing for me to pour the alcohol on, to forget about.
Right.
That I was left in
Right.
you know what I mean? And they were just doing the best they could at the time, and I do truly believe that. They had to do for them what they had to do as humans for their growth and for their sanity and for their, and I do truly believe that. So I don't blame that on those people, right? Even my abuser had an abusive life, right?
Right.
He was abused.
Right.
And it just took a little while to learn that I was covering all that with alcohol, and what that meant, and working through that.
Right.
And again, I've been lucky enough to have great coaches and great mentors to learn from, and to be able to share this and keep telling the story of how it can be better and how it is better for people.
Right. How is like you were talking about the film industry? So some of the movies and like working in the industry, like the long hours, how was that like with your, dealing with being around alcohol as accessible as it was?
Back then it was crazy. I mean, there was a lot more partying and that stuff back 30 years ago than there is today. Our industry is very, very different today, with the younger crowds and the new people coming into the business and the old ones going out, and deaths that have happened from people drinking and driving, and all that kind of stuff. The hours are still, unfortunately, horrendous. We work anywhere from, our shortest day is 12 hours.
Right.
Period. And we work, 16. Yeah, I work 20-hour days. I've worked 24-hour days. I've worked, all kinds. But when you're passionate about something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And most of the filmmakers that I've been around, that I've been lucky enough to be around in my career, are very passionate filmmakers.
Right.
And when you have an energy of passionate filmmakers that are making this thing that we consider art, that's going to be around forever and is part of our legacies, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 20-hour days they're not that hard to do.
Right.
And we get a nice chunk of time off afterwards if we want.
Right.
We're not I'm not in a 9 to 5 grind like a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I work a lot of hours. I may work 90 hours a week, but I know that movie's going to come to an end, and I can sleep for 4 days.
Right.
And then maybe have 3 months off.
And then maybe have 3 months off.
Yeah.
Right.
And which has allowed me to have kind of my cake and eat it too, in the sense of staying in the film industry while we built our adventure retreat business.
Right.
Because I did have that time, and we could say, okay, I know this film's going to end in 4 months. Let's build a retreat for then.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd get to go and do that and help a group of people, which is really where my passion is today.
Right.
So I'm changing my life situation in the sense of the film industry, and I'm not leaving it, but I'm starting to produce things. So we're going to produce a television show, and we have a movie that we're going to start to produce. And so we're evolving all the time with the things that we want to do, no matter what fear comes up or challenges we may face, because we believe everything is possible if you take the steps towards your goals.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, Nancy. So growing up with you, how did this whole retreat thing start with, your ideas and the struggles you grew up with? Anything you could share for any women out there who want to start a business? Because you had started 2 businesses I was reading about. I wanted to talk about that a little more.
Yeah. Great question. My family was very entrepreneurial. My father had his own business. All of my sisters but one and myself are business owners. So it was kind of just all we saw. So it was what we wanted. And I joke around and say, if you don't like to be told what to do and follow a schedule of someone else's, then you're probably an entrepreneur or want to be a business owner, which that was kind of me my whole life. I chased jobs that had flexible schedules. And
sounds like me.
And once that I could kind of determine my days off. I didn't have like a set, you can only have 10 days off a year. That just never flew with me, and I wouldn't take jobs that had that. And people thought I was crazy. Like, don't you want, it was a great job. No,
yeah.
not in my eyes. So then when I graduated college, the corporate world just didn't appeal to me, even though I went to school for advertising and psychology, human behavior. To get into someone else's business, it never was appealing to me. So my mother was an extremely forward thinker, supported everything we did, and always was behind us, encouraging that you just got to figure it out. What do you want to do? So the wedding planning company evolved, kind of fell in my lap. I was working for a small company, and her mother passed away, and she suddenly shut her doors. And
wow.
I had a wedding in my hands that we hadn't finished yet, and the woman just up and left her business. And so the woman's wedding, the client was still going to have her wedding. So I couldn't leave her. I couldn't just let it be and be like, well, I guess I don't work for this company anymore.
Right.
I had all the contacts. So I was like, I'm just going to do her wedding. I don't know. I'll just figure it out.
Take up the mantle.
So I did her wedding. Yeah. And because I just couldn't bear the poor woman having her wedding day. I mean, we had 2 weeks left.
Right.
Saying I wasn't going to be there. So I finished that and told my dad, well, I guess I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't, I'll look for a different job. And so he was like, if you enjoyed it, just start your own. And I was like, oh, I never thought of it. So did that, started building clientele and building my business there. And again, baby steps, it was an idea. And I just kind of baby stepped my way because I was taught how to baby step. And that's an important thing that I think a lot of people don't understand, that you do have to be taught to take baby steps so you don't get overwhelmed. Because I think a lot of people and women, there's so much that goes on in our minds. We're very analytical. So like I said, we see this big picture of what we want, and we envision, this giant wedding company, and then all of a sudden it's like, how could you possibly ever get there? So you shut down, rather than when you are taught the baby steps and you know how to compartmentalize things, you can achieve it. So did that, and did it for about 4 years, and the schedule wasn't my favorite. I didn't want to work every weekend.
Right.
So it was growing.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the problem. I was like, well, I grew it up and I'm like, I'm going to say I don't want to do it anymore. So I was kind of getting into fashion and the handbag side of things, and decided that would be more something I could do on my own time, and at any time with my business, and would be more cooperative with the rest of the world, and I'd be able to have my weekends. So I decided to build that one up. And same thing, you know, you run into, I had never, I made every handbag and I had never sewn a stitch. I knew how to sew a hem. So I taught myself everything, because you'd come up against walls, and at that point I was no longer in school. I had graduated. I did my 5 years of college, but I continued to reach out for education, because now I was realizing, well, it's up to me now to, what do I want to learn? There's courses out there for everything. So that's the other thing. If you run up against walls of things that you want to learn about in your business, whether it's, you know, things are now going the technical route and social media route, well, there's ways to learn about that. Things are going online, so you got to learn about how to market your business in a whole different fashion, and websites and website design, and, you know, photography for your products.
Yeah, that's a big one. Branding. Yeah.
You know, branding.
It's a lot.
So there's so much to learn, and you really do become the jack of all trades in your business until you start to get a little bit more profitable, where you can dish this stuff out. But the most important thing is, the second you become a little bit profitable, that you can dish stuff out, to make sure you start doing that. Because that's where I went wrong in my earlier stages of, I wanted to do it all because I thought, well, I don't have the money yet. I can't pay this person for that because I don't have it done. But I was putting so much pressure on myself that the stress and overwhelm of doing it all, you feel like you're doing it all, but you're not. You're failing in areas because you're letting things go. You're just, you can't do it all, so you get too tired. So when you dish out and you delegate and you put some of that stuff out for social media, or for someone to check your emails, or whatever it might be that you could possibly divvy out in your business, put in that little bit of extra cash to do that, because it will just make the rest of your business blossom, because now you have that extra time and energy to put in. So I think that's a huge business, because when you start out as a small business, you have to do it all. You have to be the marketer. You have to build your website. You have to answer your emails. You have to be up all night. You know, there's so many things that you have to do in order to make it step up. And again, those are baby steps, but you're still doing it all.
Right.
So the moment you can step out of that, lets it flourish.
Okay.
You know?
So you guys were talking about some new projects you're working on. Can you talk a little bit more about that? The projects you guys have coming up with your business and your webpage?
Yeah. Right now we're involved in so many things. Right now we're involved in a competition called the Next Impactor.
Okay.
Which was developed by Lauren Michaels Harris and Jeff Levine, who are two gentlemen that do a lot for others. You know, they're just out there. Lauren has a thing called the Power of We, where he just helps these inner city youth kids, and Jeff and his wife have the co-op. What is it? The co-op network, where their whole business model is to get other businesses to give, right? To give, give, and that's the business model to build your business, and it's fantastic. And they raise money for kids. They raise money for food.
That's amazing.
So this Next Impactor competition, they are taking life coaches and speakers and all these people, Tony Bubb.
Yeah.
And they've got this $500,000 prize package to help promote our businesses for whoever wins.
That's awesome.
And it's so not a competition. Everybody involved in it is like helping each other and voting for each other and talking each other up, and it's really fantastic. So we have that, and then we have our Adventure Yoga Retreat business, which is going to turn into a television show where we're going to take, you know, our clients on our adventure retreats, so that more people can see what we do and how we do it and get value from it, right? You know, I can be in a group of 20 people and discussing a challenge with one person.
Right.
Well, it's not only helping that one person, right?
Yeah.
There's in that room of 20, there's at least another person, right? There's at least one more person
Right.
that is getting some value from that. And so the way that we see it is, if the wider the reach that we can give in the way that we do the adventure therapy, in the way that we help to create a new mindset, or help you to create your own new mindset, really, the more people we can get to see that, the more people we can help. Mm-hmm. And so we've teamed up with a producer that I know in the business, and we're developing that, and at the same time we're developing a feature film that I have to hold in the bag.
Right.
That one I have to. That one's a little. I can tell you less about that one.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, and most recently we have an event coming up. One of our live events. We do subsequent live events in different cities for different coaching capabilities. So this one coming up in the end of March is for the single women that we were talking about.
Right.
Helping people to break their cycle of failed relationships, because we all have them until we find.
Oh yeah.
Right. So we've all been there. But
well, and there's a reason, right? Yeah,
exactly.
We want to point out there and go, well, she did this to me, or he did that to me, and that's all fine and dandy, right? But the blame game doesn't get us any growth, and it doesn't change the next relationship.
Right.
And so, because we were given early on, we were given like a free coaching session, or somebody reached out to us and said, look, I can help you with this.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was free.
Yeah.
And there were no strings attached. There was no sales pitch.
Yeah.
There was no, right?
Yeah.
And so what we do is we give that back. So we hold these events, we put them on with our dollars. Yeah. We get some people to donate things.
Yeah, donate the different items that we use for the event. Like the one with the ladies, we do wine and chocolate. So every woman that comes through the door gets a glass of wine and chocolate. And we engage in a workshop style fashion with them,
right?
To give them advice, share our knowledge, share what we know and have learned, and what we've helped others with, in the hopes that it could be a light bulb to shed something different on them, to put that little nudge in the right direction to get them to start looking at things a little differently in their love life, and
a new perspective.
Yeah, a new perspective.
Definitely. You guys are really inspiring. I love your relationship that you guys share, that you guys can just give back into the world and your community and in your own lives and your family. I think it's amazing. Where else can everybody find you on social media to find all your services?
We have our Scott and Nancy Kiesling page, which is our business page. We have
Walter Scott Kiesling,
which is his Facebook page.
Yep.
Okay.
I have my personal page.
And like all my Instagram, everything is under my personal name.
Yeah. And then our website, of course, scottandnancykiesling.com.
Okay.
I think that's all the links.
Yeah.
Basically everything. That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. I will definitely help put those links out for you guys. And this is like my last question I ask my interviewers, because you guys have been so patient with me and sharing your mission. I love it. It's been a passion of mine to hear people's stories and give back and add value to my audience and to your audience and to whoever out there who needs that next change in their life. What is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
I think for me, it is that all of us have value to give one another.
Right.
And I truly believe that. I teach my son that. We don't ever know where somebody has come from or what they've been through. So if we treat everybody with love and compassion, and we can continually spread that,
right,
our world just gets better.
Right.
Yeah, agreed. And to really just be yourself. I think a lot of people, the authenticity inside people, I think a lot of people want to say things about themselves, want to share something of, what they think is smart and maybe spunky about themselves, but they might cut that down because they worry what other people think. and to just not get wrapped up in that and not guard yourself for anyone, because there's going to be people that love you and there's going to be people that hate you. It's just life. And the ones that hate you are just coming from a place of they don't know themselves yet. And once you know that, then you can just be yourself and let them be. But really let yourself shine of everything that you are, whatever that may be for each individual.
Well, thank you, Nancy and Scott. I love the words and wisdom and inspirational messages you guys can give out to everybody, and the value. And from working in the movie industry, Scott, and to Nancy starting her own businesses at a young age, this couple is an example of somebody who can give you value in your life and change that and give you that breakthrough in your life to help you overcome your fears and struggles, and to become more and to inspire others to grow. So thank you so much for having you guys on today and, sharing your mission. I really appreciate it. And you're
Scott,
going to
thank you for having us.
Scott, for
really.
having us.
You too. Thank you. It means a lot to me. Thank you. So,
we appreciate it.